Welcome back, YouTube. My name is Nigel Schroeter, and today I'm going to give you guys some quick credit tips for college freshmen. So, we're going to be continuing our series talking about finances for college freshmen. Like I said, I know right now a lot of people are going back to college. We got a lot of new freshmen in college, a lot of recently graduated seniors who may be starting in the spring instead of the summer. And just many other young adults looking into what they need to know to move forward in finances as well as in credit. These videos will really help you. Just being a young adult or someone who's not very financially savvy, you don't necessarily have to be a college student. So today, let's start off. The first thing, my first tip to you is going to be understand credit, understand the basics of it. So you need to learn the basics of credit scores and how your credit score is calculated so that you understand the importance of your credit report and things that are going to have an impact on your credit, good or bad. So what do I mean in this case? You need to know, you know, everything under the sun. You need to know about payment history. You need to know about utilization. You need to know about derogatory marks. You need to know about credit inquiries. You need to learn about length of history. All those are different things that we can talk about more in depth. I do have some videos already breaking those things down, but you definitely want to have a basic understanding of those concepts that factor into making up your credit score, and just understand that the most important thing about credit is keeping your credit as high as possible. So, how do we do that? One thing that you can do is you can open a student credit card. So, this is going to be tip number 2. Open a student credit card. So, if you're responsible with your finances, open a student card or, open a secured credit card. Depending on where your credit standing is, who you bank with, you may be able to get a student card with no money down. If you can't get a student card with no money down, then your next best option in many cases is to go for a secured credit card where you would put money down and that would create your credit limit. So student cards are great because they start to build up your responsibility with credit. They're designed for students and they often come with lower credit limits and beginner friendly terms. And many times they also come with sign up bonuses. So you may get some type of points or cashback offer from opening up a student card or from using that card. Tip number 3, use credit sparingly. So while credit can be beneficial, you want to avoid overusing it. You always want to use less than 30%. I really recommend less than 10%, or utilizing your credit and then paying it back in full would be my best recommendation to anyone. Keep your credit utilization low, which is how much you use your credit card, because a high utilization can impact your credit negatively. So the greater amount of money that you spend off of your credit card, the more of a financial risk you're going to be to the banks, the less likely they are to lend you money, and it will drop your credit score. Tip number 4, make sure that you always pay on time. Please, please, please always pay on time. Your payment history is a major factor in your credit score, so make sure that you set up reminders, automatic payments, whatever you need to do to make sure that you never miss your due dates. Tip number 5, pay in full. So whenever it's possible, pay your credit card balances in full every month. Do not let your credit card balances build up, because once they build up, it can be overwhelming trying to get them paid down, and in many cases it becomes almost impossible, and then you end up getting put on an endless cycle of trying to pay back interest and fees and different charges from your lender from you not being responsible. Tip number 5, monitor your statements. I can't say this enough. I just recently had a situation like this, make sure that you're always checking your statements and making sure that your transactions are yours and that no one else is using your card. Um, Make sure that no one else has access to your account or anything, because you don't want anyone else utilizing your card and costing you. Tip number 7 is going to be avoid cosigning. Now, I tell everyone this: do not cosign. You don't want to cosign because although, yes, it can help someone else, you're putting yourself at risk. And if you cannot afford to pay the monthly fee for whatever it is you're cosigning for, you do not want to cosign, because now it puts you at risk of your credit becoming messed up. So, something that I can tell you is very common is, people get in a relationship, they'll start dating someone, that person's trying to get a car, they can't get the car by themselves. So then they say, hey, sweetheart, can you co-sign for the car for me? You co-sign for the car for them. You don't foresee a bad breakup. Bad breakup comes. They take the car. They leave you with the payment. And now you have poor credit because you're saying, I'm not going to pay for a car for them to drive the car around. And now you're faced with that dilemma of, if you continue paying for the car, yes, you'll keep your credit up, but that person still has rights to that car. And if you don't continue to pay for that car, then it's going to negatively impact your credit. So please don't co-sign for anyone. There's a reason why the bank is not lending them the money. Banks are smart. Remember that. Tip number 8 is going to be limit applications. Every time you apply for credit, you're going to have a short-term negative impact on your credit. It's called a credit inquiry. The impact of them typically fades off every 3 months all the way out to 2 years when they completely are removed from your credit. Tip number 9, make sure that you start building your credit history as quickly as possible with positive credit. Tip number 10, continue to review your credit report. Make sure that you are checking your credit report as much as possible. Make sure that you are, have different credit monitoring apps. Just in case if one slips and misses something, you can always check the other. I recommend Experian. I also recommend Credit Karma and Credit Sesame. Experian is really good for giving you your actual FICO score. Credit Karma and Credit Sesame are really good for notifying you when things happen on your credit report. You may also want to get My FICO if you want a paid subscription that's very, very thorough. And of course, there are many other apps and websites that are out there that offer the same thing. If you're into entrepreneurship, check out NAV. It's the business credit equivalent. Let's see, where are we at? We're at number 11. So number 11, avoid maxing out credit cards. Please don't do this. When you max out your credit card and you let that post on your statement date, it's going to drastically drop your credit score. I've seen this drop people's credit scores 100 plus points. Please do not max out your credit card. Tip number 12, continue to educate yourself on credit. The more that you learn about credit, financial responsibility, and personal finance, the better you're going to be at making decisions for your credit. Tip number 13, be cautious with loans. So if you're going to consider to take out student loans or any other type of loans, a personal loan, an auto loan, whatever type of loan you're looking at, make sure that you research those loans. You know the terms, you know the interest, and you know what's coming at you, because you don't want to be blindsided or set yourself up for something that you're not able to keep up with. Tip number 14, build a savings. It's always best to have a safety net. So in the event that if something goes awry with your credit and you need to make a payment on something, that you have some money sitting to the side to make that payment. Maybe you forgot, you paid for something, or a ACH transaction came through for something. Now you're in a position where you forgot and you can't pay your bills. You never want to be in that position. Don't put yourself in that position. Have that savings there. And last but not least, tip number 15, set financial goals. Have goals set aside to know what you want in your future and use your credit to help you get there. I always tell everyone that credit is not something that you necessarily need, but it's great to have in the event that you run into a hurdle in life. So no, you don't necessarily have to have credit. No, you don't need to have all these high lines of credits and all these things that these financial gurus are going to tell you on YouTube. I think that credit is great and can be used in many different situations to be beneficial. However, it's not the end all be all. You have to know how to use it. You have to use it responsibly. And if you're not using it responsibly, it will definitely kick you in the behind. So, as always, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for being here. And we'll see you in the next one.